Today we're going to do a tip for some older dual sport and adventure riders just getting into the sport. One of the biggest concerns I see from older folks like me getting back into the sport, I've been riding since I was 10 years old, so it's almost 50 years. And what I see in real life and on the YouTubes is one of the biggest concerns for these folks is riding on gravel. And you probably wonder, what is this guy on a Bonneville going to teach me about riding on gravel? Well, I've got about, as I said, 47 years at the making of this video, riding motorcycles, dirt bikes, road bikes, especially in the last 12 years, large 800 plus cc adventure motorcycles and dual sports way before that. Surface I'm riding on today is very hard packed, dry gravel road with a lot of marbly gravel on top of it. And this strikes a chord in a lot of folks on adventure bikes and dual sports. It can be a little bit unnerving until you get used to it and you learn how to ride on it. Especially if you're just coming into the sport, if you are coming off of a street bike, things are different here, and you will need to engage with this type of material when you're out riding. These are the roads that get you from trail to trail. So let's discuss this. Now, I don't think that tire type is hugely important. You don't need a set of knobbies to do this. I was riding this motorcycle on this type of stuff with just the street tires, the Pirelli Scorpions that came with it. Right now I've got TKC 70s on here, something like that, so they're adventure bike tires. And there is a marked difference between the two. So a decent set of tires is going to not only give you better traction, better feel, they're a little bit thicker and they give you a little bit more protection from things that may be on the road. You may hit an embedded rocker or something like that, and you could have a pinch flat or something go through the tire, like a bolt or a nail or something like that, and you're less likely to have that issue with tires that are meant for off-road or semi-off-road. Now, second thing here we'll talk about is air pressure. That is a controversial subject. I know some of the big adventure rider instructors tell you not to. However, and I don't normally, unless it's really like washboard or there's or something like that, However, your first few times out, you may want to try an air down. An air down concept, some people really dislike it. I'm not talking about taking it down 10 pounds, but 2 to 5 pounds can make a huge boost to your confidence level. And once you get going and you understand how to ride on gravel roads, you can back off or decide that you want to keep doing it. There's several different churches on whether to air down or not, but it could be something that could be some confidence inspiring to you. Now, once on the motorcycle, try not to freak yourself out. It is loose. You're going to have to get that mentality in you that you are not going to have control of the motorcycle like you do on pavement. It is a completely different environment. All off-road, you are not 100% attached to the surface you were riding on. And one of the things that you have to get past is you need to give yourself into the properties of momentum. So you want to keep a good pace. You don't need to go really fast, but you want to keep a good pace. And momentum is not speed. Momentum is forward motion. And it will carry you through most of this stuff. So that being said, one of the things that you do want to do, I'm trying to avoid some of that horse crap. You want to have a loose grip on the bars, kind of like a one of those little weak handshakes. You don't want to have a firm grip on the bars. That will cause fatigue, but it will also not allow the motorcycle to divine its way through the loose surface that you're riding on. You want to have an elbows out kind of format. This is kind of extreme, but you don't want to be in like this. I see so many people riding with their elbows nearly touching their belly. You don't want to have that. You want to have good position to keep that bike going straight. But you need to allow the bars to move. That's something. They're going to move a little bit, but this is where your grip is back here. You don't want to have an iron grip on those bars. You want to have your elbows out. You'll also want to have your forearms perpendicular to the ground. You don't want to be up and you don't want to be down. So you catch an embedded rock, it's going to push your arm back easier. It's not going to do that so much up here. You want to have an upright body position. You want to have your back leaning forward into the direction you're going. You want to keep your balls of your feet on the pegs. That will give you better ease in trying to maneuver the bike if you're going one way or the other. Weighting those pegs with your foot just a little bit, just a touch, is gonna change your direction. You don't want to make too many steering controls with your bars. You want to keep your bars neutral. You want to avoid using the front brake because you've got a very small contact patch up front. You want to use your rear brake. That's another brake from the Church of Motorcycle Instructors. I like to use my back brake. I learned how to ride dirt bikes that way. Just use your back brake, not your front brake. Your back tire has 2 to 3 times the contact patch your front tire does, and with that you've got still have torque and momentum in your rear tire, where your front tire, if you grab a hold of that, it's got the chance to move around and throw you to the ground. As you come into corners, you kind of want to ease off a little bit, but you still want to carry some throttle into the corner, and you don't want to lean like you do on pavement. You absolutely don't want to. So what you want to do is, I'm trying to do a little something more extreme here just to show, you kind of want to be looking right through here as you make corners. You don't want to lean. You want the bike to lean, so you're keeping a vertical position over the bike, so it's a straight down weight to the ground type of thing. You don't have the shoulders that you do on pavement, and obviously you don't have the traction you do on pavement. No matter where you are on the gravel road, you kind of want to keep away from the edges. I've ridden with guys that have ended up in the ditch just because they get too far close to the sides. That's where all the heavy gravel collects. And also in the center, you'll be able to see the tracks. I don't know if you can see with the camera, there's little tracks in the gravel here. So you kind of want to keep out of the really heavy piles. Don't be afraid to ride through these things. You should be able to transition anywhere you want in the road, but as you corner and stuff like that, you kind of want to keep in mind that, because that's the least amount of your traction. If you can find a little track to follow that the cars have made or the motorcycles made, that's going to give you the most traction bang for your buck. So another thing you want to do is you don't want to go in too high a gear. You want to keep it somewhere, not so much as in sand, and that's a different topic, but you kind of want to keep that back tire under torque, and not a lot of torque, but just enough to keep that chain positive. You don't want to be on and off the power to that thing, because that's going to be constantly breaking your traction. Once you get torque to that wheel and get that wheel rolling, you want to keep that traction going. So you don't want to be in such a low gear that when you twist the throttle, the tire's spinning, but you don't want to be such a high gear that when you turn it up, when you roll on the throttle and off the throttle, that you are breaking that engine sprocket connection, if you will. That's kind of a bad way to put it, but you want that constant torque there all the time. So, and it also will lend to helping you steer with throttle. That is another different subject. Learning to steer with a throttle is going to be key to your advancement in riding on gravel. So right now you should have a comfort level. You should be able to get to the comfort level at a novice level of riding at a fairly good clip. Like right now I'm about 53 or so miles an hour. This should be very natural, very comfortable, and you should not be nervous about the changing traction that's underneath you. You should always be looking out, and no matter what you're doing with your motorcycle, you should always be riding well ahead of your motorcycle. That's another kind of different topic that could be explored, is the target fixation tunnel thing. You always need to be looking down the road. Like right now I'm looking way down where that tank is. There's a brown tank down there. I'm already looking past there. Always looking through the corner. I'm already looking over there to guide my motorcycle through. You always have to be seeing in advance of where you're going, but it also gives your brain, if you start looking to the left, you're going to steer to the left. If you start looking to the right, you're going to steer to the right. And what some people miss about that is, well, to avoid target fixation, I'm looking out there and I'm looking at my path already, but a lot of folks aren't using the peripheral vision underneath that. So as you're looking ahead to pick your lines and stuff like that, you should also use your peripheral vision as you get closer to things, or seeing things that you can't see in the distance. Like this poop here, you should be picking that up in your peripheral vision, not only down here but along the sides. You should always practice that. It's not something people use a whole lot, is your peripheral vision. The more you work on it, the better it'll get. So obstacles in the road, and then obstacles of vehicles and whatnot coming in from the sides. In a transition like this from dirt to pavement should not be an issue for you. That's another thing that you kind of need to work on. Well, I hope these tips have helped someone. Most of my viewers are experienced riders, so I don't know how much they will get out of this, because they probably know more than I do. But I wanted to offer some tips to folks coming into the sport, especially, like I said, folks that are my age and just getting into it. And this definitely seems to be one of the big concerns of folks, you know, riding their first adventure bike or dual sport bike. Well, thanks for watching. I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. Please comment, like, and share. Ding that bell so you get notified when I put up new videos. Adios.